Emerging Media at Colorado Technical University in Colorado Springs. She's taught there campus and online classes since 1996, and she has a Doctor of Computer Science degree, and her research blends virtual worlds, emerging media, education, innovation, robotics, and game design. Her team received the $25,000 grand prize in the 2010 Federal Virtual World Challenge for the Mars Expedition Strategy Challenge, a space simulation that features challenge-based learning in Second Life. So since 2006, she's hosted 111 conference presentations. So she's very, very experienced, and we're grateful that she's here. She's taught 33 university classes in Second Life and mentored 400 plus middle school students in Ramapo Virtual World. She was a software engineer for 13 years on projects for the Air Force Space Command and in Washington, D.C. So I will put in her slide share, extensive slide share, on the local chat for anybody who wants to see. And her blog, of course, which is in the local chat as well. So thank you very much. Without further ado, please welcome Lyr, who is going to talk about GAMESMOOC and exploration in educational games.
Thank you, Gwen. Hello, everyone. And yes, feel welcome to friend me. Please feel welcome to type during the schools. Hey, Corellia. Good to see you. Well, this is my first venture on it, so if I overdo it, my apologies. The good news is I have text slides to accompany it. Now, I have way too many slides, and I have tons of links, because I think keynote addresses should come with lots of references and ideas and videos and things to stimulate your imagination. Now, I must apologize. I had to dash for a moment. I had surgery a couple of days ago, and so I'm a little frail, but good to go. This is my 112th conference presentation in 6 years, and I'm delighted to be here. What a great time it is to be alive. Let's see. I'm trying to work the little device. There we go. Well, my first image here comes from the Adobe stock images, and I know it's rezzing right now. And the reason this comes to mind is when I think of games, educational games, and GAMESMOOC, and all of these opportunities we're going to talk about today, I think of this image. I think of my mind on fire, stimulated, excited, alive. And how many of you do not play games? Give me a yes or a no. Do you play games? Yes or no? Thank you, Stellanios. Okay, so far, okay, Ashley, that's good. Good to note, because we're going to try to find something for everyone. So if you don't, Melinda, Asna, okay, so I want you guys to keep us honest and keep in mind why it is you don't play games and whether you think that games would have any benefit in education. Because we need those kinds of discourse. We need different kinds of opinions. Okay, lack of time. Okay. So have you ever played games? For those of you who said no, now the question is have you played games in the past? Or did you enjoy playing games? Maybe that's a better question. Because if you don't enjoy it, it's not a very good game, right? Okay, Ashley, that's good to know. So I want you to think, Ashley, about what it is you didn't like. Because we certainly don't want to propagate things we don't like, right? Now, I'm learning to use this interface. What I have to do is hit the right arrow and then thump the little screen. And, of course, like most users, I don't read the manual. How many of you know what andragogy is? Yeah. That's how adults learn, right? Activity-based learning. It's trial and error, virtual TV media. So what that means is I didn't read the complete instruction note card on how to use this viewer because I just got it, right? And so I glanced at it for about 10 seconds and said, okay, I'll throw my slides into the contents, I'll thump it, I'll figure it out. And the first thing I did is I res this me if I wanted, and it deleted my viewers. I don't know if you noticed that a moment ago. So I learned from example, right? I learn from experience. I learn from error. And I thought, well, let's not do that. I won't worry about sitting. Now, I know I can sit in one of these other chairs, but that's not the point. When we have tools and we have technology, we tend to try to use it, right? Now, on this slide, how many of you have used Sloodle for SL language learning? I think errors are Lasarium. And in fact, I remember my wrongness much better than when I'm right. Okay, so some of you have a little bit, these 3 of you, maybe 4, 5, good. So you're very experienced. Well, the good news is I'm not going to talk about that today, but any discussion of games-based learning would be incomplete without mentioning Sloodle, because let's face it, we're all in a multi-user virtual environment today called Second Life, and many of you probably teach in a variety of different environments, not just here. This is a link, and by the way, I have all of these. I know that the SlideShare URL went out, but I also have a copy of these slides. I'm going to put them in a little box at my feet here, and I'll make it a little bigger for anyone who'd like a copy. And you just click on it, and it should give you a copy of the slides if you like raw slides in Second Life. Either way. And it includes all the URLs, by the way. But of course, as images, they're not very useful. That's why the downloadable version online is much better. Okay. Well, I created one of these word mosaics, and in it, I tried to list most of the types of games that I play. And I don't just play these for entertainment. I also do these for my classes. And I got to thinking about it, and I actually omitted 2 or 3 from this list. Can you tell what I missed? I'll give you a hint. If you've ever been to one of my talks, I normally res a special kind of viewer that listens to my audience and notes when you're right or wrong, when you give out the answers. It requires you to sit within 20 meters of it, and it has a listener on it, so it listens to you, it responds to you. And if 2 of you get the right answer, the first one gets recognition for it publicly. The second person gets a whisper that says, you were right, but you weren't quite fast enough. And at the end, it scores for everyone. Do you guys know what kind of game I'm talking about? It asks questions, and it looks for your answers. What kind of game is that? It's a particularly powerful one for language learning. It begins with a T. It's 6 letters. There we go. Virtual TV Media gets it. A trivia game. Trivia games are very popular in Second Life, and they're very easy to create. I spoke at one of the conferences and showed them how to create one using my device that Sendow Goodman scripted for me, and that I tailored to create 2 different versions of. One that listens to the audience but only allows the presenter to control it, and the other that allows anyone to control it, so it can be used for asynchronous learning, right? I love them too, virtual TV media. And the beauty of the trivia game version that I have is that all you do is you put your answers in the note card. So then you have to find good questions, right, that accompany your slides, and then a way of broadcasting those questions. So it's a very simple thing, and if you're interested in it, let me know. I was going to convert this entire talk to the trivia game, but when I learned that we were going to use a HUD, I decided to simplify life. Okay, here we go. And now for my next slide. Now, there are lots of different kinds of games. There was another one that was not on that list, but we'll get back to that list. We'll look at it in a bullet form for those of you who like bullets. You know, it's interesting. I'm often hearing from people who say, ooh, death by PowerPoint, right? Or where's the Prezi? And yet they might get a little dizzy when the Prezi gets to spinning. And if you don't know what I mean by Prezi, I'll type it in the text chat. It's that little tool that animates your slides, and I think it's rather fascinating. Here, let me see where I put that. Let me do that again. Yes, thank you, Sabir. And yeah, so it's interesting, the people who say death by PowerPoint, but when you try to use other methods, we're a little dismayed, because we like to be able to digest things, to be able to read them easily. And word art's not always easy to read. Now, on this slide, I'm showing you what's in the upper left corner. And of course, that's a takeoff on a sound or a music program. But what kind of games do you see on this page? There's a little something for everyone here. Maybe not Melinda, no. And I do apologize, Ashley, for any of you who are not interested in these kinds of games. But you're seeing some board or video games. You're seeing, yeah, it looks like Space Invaders, which was one of my favorites from the old days. And I know some of you are going, is how could you ever learn from Space Invaders? Well, I have to admit, I type 115 words per minute, and my motor skills are very good in the online. Unlike real life, you know, my eye-hand coordination is very crisp. And I used to be excellent at Space Invaders. Over on the right, you see games like Marbles. A lot of these Java-based games or Flash games or other types of games, something that's like Bejeweled and like Dominoes, only Tetranamos, and of course Rooms, and a few others. And then in the bottom left, you're noticing, wow, what kind of shape am I using to talk about the different kinds of games? I love The Sims too. In fact, we're standing in a simulation. We may not be Sims, and we may not be worried about our hygiene or all the other needs and wants that a Sim might have from the traditional game, but we are indeed social. And we are indeed in a simulation. So what kind of image is being represented in my word art in the lower left corner? Can you tell what that is? Yes, that's true, Shambles Guru. Yeah, it's a skull. And I put it up there to be a little provocative because I often go to conferences and like the TCC Worldwide Conference, which is one of my favorites. Been going there for over 8 years. And I often hear someone say, I don't like competition, I don't like violence in games, I don't like conflict, you know, a whole bunch of things that are the downsides of gaming for some folks, right? And especially for education, that's fairly controversial. So I use that shape to bring up a little controversy, because I think controversy and conflict keeps us honest. It makes us think. And I'm all about thinking. In fact, on this slide, I'm focusing on it, aren't I? I'm thinking about critical thinking and problem solving, about motor skills and innovation, about retention. And you may be thinking, what kind of retention? My students always tease me, water retention? No. Learning retention? Yes. But also retention of my students. Have you ever lost a student? Had a student leave or disappear or just not get engaged, just wasn't interested, even if they paid good money for your services, life got in the way, and there was just no way to capture their attention and to help them, you know, to learn. Problem solving. Let's see, digital literacy. This is a big one. I teach doctoral classes, as you know, and it makes no difference what level you're at. Students are fearful, right? Especially if you put them in an unusual tool and you ask them to do a lot of new things, new technologies, and then they're very focused on task with the concepts, right? And their cognitive load, the burden on their ability to think and reason is very high, and then they're under stress. And if they're doctoral students, we don't have a high tolerance for Bs, you know. So they're striving for excellence, so that just adds to the pressure, right? So when I draw my students into a virtual world, they're full of anxiety. And we play games in every world, including this one. Oh, is the sound broke? Can you guys hear me?
It should be fine.